Hi everyone, this is audap. Let's continue our game of Fatal 12 on Nintendo Switch.
心配なさらなくても、この時間はあなた方の眠りの時間。現実の時間とは異なる狭間の時ですわ。つまり目を覚ませばいつもの朝。それでは今宵の脱落者は1名。これをもって選定を終了といたしましょう。
My consciousness begins to fade when she says that. The sensation is similar to when you start falling asleep. My train of thought has completely stopped at that point, though. Not a single thing about it. The most accurate way to describe how I felt when I woke up this morning would probably be melancholic. Granted, I'm not sure I even slept in the first place. But what I am sure of is that certain things I've forgotten have come back to me. Wednesday, March 2nd, Naomi and I were on our way back to Lion House from school. We were trapped in a fire on the train at that time. That explained why fire is listed as my cause of death. And it was no dream, it was reality. The fact that I couldn't stop shaking after remembering it lent credence to its veracity. Even if my mind had forgotten, my body certainly hadn't. The fire broke out so fast that I barely had time to react, although I remember a feeling of relief at knowing that Naomi was safe. As for how the fire happened, I'm not entirely sure. My body starts to quiver and I get headaches whenever I try to think back. However, I do recall a very specific bag and the keychain attached to it for some reason. It turns out that I did indeed meet Parsa after my death, too. Like she said last night, I had already heard her explanation once before. There's no doubt it happened in that odd dream world, too. I guess I've got no choice for the time being but to believe last night's dream and piece my memories together. Much as I'd like to be able to, this is the best I can manage right now. Even if I accept that it wasn't just a dream, there's still way too much I don't understand. I couldn't find a single noteworthy incident when I checked the internet for any info about railway incidents on that date either. In other words, the fire that killed me never happened once I became a participant in divine selection. That's the only explanation. The odd books perched on my bookshelf like always. I wonder if this one and that one appeared in the Court of Fate are the same book. If so, that means it makes its way between here and the dream world on its own. Still 4 cards in the book, too. Wait, 4? That can't be right. Parsa mentioned that we'd automatically obtain cards when we learned some accurate information, something about giving thoughts a tangible form. The card detailing my cause of death isn't here for some reason. That's not all. Miharu turned out to be a participant as well, so she should have her own set of cards. I figured I would at least have the card with her full name since I know it, but I don't. That isn't the main issue regarding her, though. I've been trying to keep myself from thinking about it, but it's about time I face reality. Only one of us can make it through divine selection. That being said, I'd like to talk to her first. There's the tiniest chance that this might have just been my imagination going wild. I eventually abandon my train of thought and get ready to go to school. I make toast for breakfast, but end up shoving it in the fridge because I can't summon the will to eat anything. Mal's already in the classroom by the time I arrive. Amish Girls University High School, otherwise known as Amish High. An apparently traditional school which with facilities from kindergarten right up to college. It's co-ed through middle school, but at the high school level, all the boys have to go elsewhere. People seem to have this image of it being one of those stereotypical all-girls Christian establishments, but it's not. Much different from the typical top-tier school. I can't motivate myself to give a cheerful reply. What I saw last night refuses to leave my mind. Accepting the fact that I should be dead is proving to be a bit tricky.
そうかも。結構歩いてたし。
うちも昨日は疲れてすぐ寝ちゃったよ。だから今朝は超早起きだったのだよ。
だから月曜日なのに遅刻しなかったんだね。
まるでうちが月曜日はいつも遅刻してるみたいな言い方だね。
Talking to Mao helps to cheer me up a bit. If it turns out that last night wasn't just my imagination, then I really don't know what to do about it. I'm probably better off just living life as usual. Until I get the chance to speak with Miharu, at least. Ironically enough, Miharu hasn't arrived by the time classes begin. In fact, she doesn't come to school at all. I've sent her a message, but it's listed as being unread. This, following what's happened last night, causes me to panic. Fortunately, Mao has some calming news for me.
ミハル、今日体調不良だったんだってさ。もう良くなったからバイトには行くみたいだけど。
返事来たの？
おう、速攻来たよ。
私の方、既読にすらならないんだけど。
いや、なんでだろうね。気づかなかったんじゃないかな。
I make an expression that screams, "You're so full of it," in response. She tries to avoid eye contact, but eventually gives in when I refuse to stop staring at her.
二人の間にさ、昨日なんかあった？
昨日？
I can't help but repeat part of her question back at her. Don't tell me Maharu's told her everything.
パレードの時、二人きりだったよね。
A wave of relief washes over me when I hear that. She's only talking about the amusement park. In that case, I can't think of anything in particular. Mao seems legitimately concerned, though.
うちさ、ミハルが悩んでるって知ってるんだよね。
何に？
さあ。
She wastes no time in reverting to her feigned ignorance.
教えてくれないの？
And here I was, ready for something heavy, considering how rare it is to see Mao looking so serious.
教えてもいいんだけどさ、ミハルの悩みってリータンにしか解決できないからね。
私にしか？
じゃ、また明日。
ちょっと。
Mao ignores me and trots right out of the classroom. She's not in any clubs, so it's common for her to head straight home after school. In fact, she rarely stops by Lionhouse either, and I always get brushed off whenever I ask what she's been up to. What's on her mind exactly? Thinking back to yesterday, she did look like she wanted to say something when we were alone. Considering the dream that followed, the two might be related. Which reminds me, Mao mentioned that Miharu would be going to work. I get what she's saying now. She really does care for her friends.
でも、ミハルのバイト先はな。
I find it hard to keep my concerns about where she works at bay. I know the name of the place and where it is, but it's kind of hard to stroll in there. I mean, it's a restaurant by definition, but it's different from your standard fare. It'd be fine if Mao tagged along, but the chances are she won't want to. After giving it some thought, I grab my phone and fire off a message.
先輩ってこういうところによく来るんですか？
私も初めて。ミハルがここでバイトしてるから話したかったんだけど。
Miharu's workplace is a maid cafe located in Akihabara. It's a small, privately run establishment, so the staff just has to wear maid outfits, meaning none of the usual business you see from bigger outlets, but it still takes some courage to stroll in. There's no way I would have done it on my own, which is why I brought Naomi along as my sacrifice of sorts. Unsurprisingly, all the customers are guys, which helps us to feel especially out of place.
リンカ、君はもう少し女心を学んだ方がいい。
Miharu sounds beyond exhausted as she drops off my coffee.
なんかごめん。ちょっと話したくて、いても立ってもいられなくなっちゃってさ。チャットも既読にはならなかったけど、マオがバイトには出てるって言うから。
やっぱり真央か。ちょっと今朝は体調が悪くてね。真央からチャットが来たのは朝で、その時にバイトは行けそうと返したんだ。
昼休み。
充電を忘れてしまったから電源を切って充電していたんだ。しかし民家からの連絡を見落とすとは大きな失敗だね。普段はほとんど連絡してくれないのだから。あ、そうだ、これもだったね。
With that, she places Naomi's warm and fluffy cocoa in front of her, but she misses the coaster a bit, which leads to her inadvertently slamming it down on the table. Naturally, this surprises some of the other customers, causing many of their gazes to turn our way.
おっと、これは失礼したよ。
Miharu turns to Naomi and delivers a polite bow. Naomi looks terrified despite being on the receiving end of an apology.
民家はライオン館みたいに落ち着ける喫茶店を想像していたのかもしれないけれど、あいにくこの調子でね。もっともメイド喫茶という時点で分かってほしかったけれど。話があるなら仕事の後にライオン館へ寄るよ。民家が良ければだけれどね。
ああ、それで大丈夫。なんかごめん。
Mao must be in the game then, and Mao must have challenged Miharu. Maybe that's why there's static between them.
でもさ、初めて見たけど似合ってるよね、メイド服。元が可愛いからかな。すごく目立ってるし。
似合ってる。かわいい。照れるな。まさか民家からそんなことを言ってもらえるなんて。
Her face is bright red as she says that, a very uncommon occurrence. You'd imagine she's used to customers complimenting her, but I guess it's different when it's a classmate.
愛嬌を振りまいていれば高い時給をもらえるから選んだけれど、それだけでもこのバイトをしてよかったというものだよ。
そんなこと言って他のお客さんに。
Right when Naomi says that, the other customers burst out in laughter.
ご覧の通り、僕はもともとこういう営業の仕方をしているからね。問題ないのさ。
ミハルらしいね。
As much as I can appreciate how these places have unique work environments, I still don't really like being in one.
じゃあゆっくりするといい。
She gives us her perfectly rehearsed work smile before moving on.
私来てよかったんでしょうか。
私も同じことを思ってる。可愛い服目当てで女子のお客さんもいるのかと思ったけど、全然だね。
いや、そうじゃなくて。
Ignoring Naomi's stuttering, I make an effort to start on my coffee. We finish up our drinks in a hurry and leave just as quickly. We get on the same train back as well, but have to split up at Shinjuku Station, my stop. Or Shinjuku. I always get the accents wrong. Once it hits 9 p.m., I start preparations to close up shop. I opened up pretty late today, so there weren't many customers. We used to get lots of people coming along for lunch when my gran ran the store, but I can't make much. It's no surprise that they stopped coming. Even so, the fact that some people still come by because they enjoy being able to relax and chat here makes me happy. It's worth mentioning that my gran handles all business and financial decisions for Lionhouse, even while I'm in the countryside. Or even while she's in the countryside. I put in the orders and such myself, but that's all based on her instructions after seeing each daily report. This is made possible thanks to the laptop she took with her. She's actually more tech literate than I am, despite her age. Around the time I finish cleaning up the store, someone makes their way through the door. Hearing the little bell jingle, I look over to see who it is.
やあ、民家。
It's Miharu, who's changed back into her school uniform. Just remembering her in that maid outfit nearly causes an involuntary grin. I don't mean that in a bad way. It looked a lot better on her than I imagined, although I bet most things do, considering she's tall and stylish. In the end, it's her work outfit, so it'd be kind of rude of me to laugh.
お疲れ様。バイト長引いた？
すまないね。引 引き継ぎ予定だった子がドタキャンしてしまったから長引いてしまったんだ。
よくないよね。バイトとはいえ仕事なんだから。
仕事が楽な割に時給が高いからね。正直僕みたいに稼がないと困るって子の方が珍しい。大半はお小遣い稼ぎだからね。くせ、それにしても凛花が言うと説得力があるね。
美晴が言っても同じだよ。
The majority of Miharu's wages go straight into living expenses thanks to her situation at home. She doesn't pay for her tuition either, thanks to her scholarship. I don't know the full story, but her parents got divorced, so it's just her and her mom at home, I think. What's worse, her mom isn't in the best condition, so she struggles to keep a consistent income. I might not be working for the money myself, but I can't really compare myself with Miharu when I've got my gran supporting me. Speaking of which, she mentioned once that most of the money she makes comes from real estate. She always brushes me off when I try to dig deeper into it.
それで僕と話したかったんだよね。なんだい？僕は期待してもいいの？
分かってるでしょ。長くなるから座りなよ。
I take my apron off and move to sit down with her.
長くなんてならないよ。この話はすぐに終わる。
She stops me before I can take my seat, then continues.
夢の世界。女神の選定というのは僕も見た。だからどうやら君はその詳細を覚えていなかったみたいだけれど。
あの後思い出したよ。まだ記憶はぐちゃぐちゃしてるけど、女神とかいう女の子に会ったのは昨日が初めてじゃないことも。
くすなら話が早い。必ず生き残ろう。
She says this with a radiant smile.
どうして笑えるの？
When I see her smile, I can't stop my gut feelings from taking over. I lose my self-control the moment she confirms that divine selection is real. Everything I've been holding back since waking up from that dream comes pouring out.
簡単さ。君は僕が参加していなかったのならば生き残ると決意できたよね。凛花は優しいから、それを口にすることは僕が本来の運命に戻る。死ぬのだと認めてしまうと心を痛めている。そしてそんな選択肢は選べないと思っている。でもいいんだよ。だってこの命は君に捧げようと思っている。
は？美晴、何を？
簡単なことだよ。僕は凛花か自分のどちらかしか生きられないとなったら、迷うことなく凛花の命を選ぶ。
ふざけんなよ。そんなこと言わないでよ。気軽に言うことじゃない。そんなの冗談でもやめてよ。ごめん。どうなった？
I break eye contact with her, giving myself a moment to regroup. Miharu replies by shaking her head while deciding on her next words.
覚悟があるから言えるんだ。それに選定の参加者は全員が生に固執していると言っていいだろう。甘いことを言っていたら君は死んでしまう。
美晴はどうして冷静でいられるの？
As much as I don't want to think about it, she has a cause of death of her own as well. That moment undoubtedly etched into her mind. My own death shocked me so much that my brain tried to block it out. Yet she's here acting like it's no big deal. I don't understand how she does it.
君のためさ。今日話せてよかった。やはり君はきっと他の参加者を出し抜いたりすることはできない。僕の情報は凛花には教えないでおこう。狙われるリスクが増えるのは嫌だからね。学校では普通でいよう。君は生き残るのだから日常に支障が出てはいけない。 凛花も最大限の努力をしてくれ。君が死んだらその時点で僕の脱落は決まったようなものだ。
She finishes her spiel before facing away from me.
必ず君を守る。
I can't open my mouth, not even after she's left my line of sight. I've forgotten to ask her about her own personal cards, as well as the reason behind me not obtaining any cards related to her. I make no progress for several days as I wait for the second round of divine selection to come around. I start to teach Naomi how to brew coffee bit by bit while I continue to engage in the usual banter with Miharu and Mao. None of this helps to ease the tension in my heart, though. I can feel myself being pressured more and more by the reality that I've become a participant in divine selection again. There are people in this world who don't deserve to live, and I've never had any issues counting myself among them. I spent my life stealing and killing as part of the mafia in southern Italy. I got to where I am today through countless betrayals. I was never in the big leagues, but I managed to find success after success as a mafioso. Until, you know, I messed up when I shouldn't have and, well, died. Success wasn't imperative in the world I lived in. The key was to avoid failing, because a single failure meant you'd be 6 feet under, and that's exactly what happened to me. It's funny, though. Turns out Lady Luck's impartial when it comes to whom she gives her blessing. Getting tossed into divine selection means I have the opportunity to live on, despite my mistake. I've been given a new lease on life. I might not deserve to live, but that's irrelevant in the face of my desire to do so. So long as that desire is there, nothing else matters. That's the Federico Carminati way of life. I failed only once in my life, and I'm determined to keep it that way. I guess Lady Luck isn't the only one to pay me a visit, though. Her much less fortunate sister has made sure to stop by, too. This charming individual is Odette Malencon. Much like me, she's a participant in divine selection. Under normal circumstances, we should be aiming to eliminate each other, but we've agreed to help each other out, for the time being. Well, I guess it'd be more accurate to say that she's forced me into a truce.
別に考え事をしてただけだ。
いいからそんな暇があったら食えよカプリコーノ。せっかくの中華料理だ。
We use Capricorno as my codename when we're speaking. It's based on my zodiac sign. In turn, Vierge is how I refer to her. My only issue is that pronouncing French words is kind of tricky for an Italian like myself. Anyway, I'm the one that suggested using codenames. I did that mainly because our names are valuable info when it comes to eliminating others in divine selection. Neither of us are supposed to know each other's real name. Knowing her, she's probably used some connections to pull my name out of the lake, but she won't tell me that straight up. Obviously, I know her real name as well, but I haven't told her. Keeping that stuff to ourselves is the reason our current relationship works in the first place.
しかし、ここが北京でよかった。中華料理の中で、私は北京料理ってのが一番好きだからね。もともとが新王朝の宮廷料理だからな。タレの味が丁寧なんだ。それに、寒い北京の気候に合わせてカロリーが高い。味も重要だが、私みたいな海の女にはカロリーが必要だ。特にこの北京ダックっていうのは中国の最大の発明じゃないかと思ってる。油がうまいんだ。フォアグラ用のガチョウといい勝負なくらいの残酷な飼育法だが、こううまいんじゃ仕方ない。まずく生まれ変わるしか道はねえからな。
She shovels more and more food into her mouth the second she quits yapping. This is her third plate of Peking duck, by the way. She's had plenty of gyoza and steamed buns in between, too. Hard to believe someone from France would order food like this, considering how particular they are about their full-course meals. Just watching her pig out makes my stomach ache.
ま、つまりだ。世界で一番の料理がフランス料理なのは動かないが、中華料理には2番を与えてやってもいい。
待てビエルジュ、お前の言葉には苦言を呈したい。2番以下はどこに譲ってもいいが、1番はイタリアンだ。
よし、いいだろう。じゃあ今から腕っぷしのいい中国人を呼んできて、フランス人、イタリア人、中国人の中で 勝った国の料理が世界一だ。
待て待て、分かった。いや、分かってはいないが、この話題はやめてくれ。
She really wouldn't hunt for someone, or she really would hunt for someone too. Only problem is that it doesn't matter what kind of tank she recruits, she'd still beat both of us senseless. Ain't many people who can take her in a fist fight, men included. She's the head of a group teeming with tough seamen for a reason.
さてフェデリコ、酒はいるか？この紹興酒ってのは溶かした飴みたいでなかなかうまいぞ。
オーデット、あんた。
Just like that, she's baited me into saying her real name.
さっきお前が何を考えてたのか知らないが、無意味な牽制はもうやめねえか。
どういう意味だ？
I already know the answer, but I ask anyway. She chugs more was it? Xiaoxingchu before showing me a big toothy smile.
さあな。だがこの女神の選定とやらでよ。使命って情報は一番すぐにわかる情報じゃねえか。お前はコードネームで呼び合うことを提案したが意味ねえんだ。調べればわかることだからな。死因もそうだ。自分の死んだ時間におおよその見当がついているから時間をかけて調べればおのずと知ることができる。言いたいことはわかるな。
バカにするな。この選定は未練を探り合う情報戦ってことが言いたいんだろ。それくらいは分かってる。
分かった上でコードネームを使うってんだからお前は小物なんだよ。使命なんて捨てろ捨てろ。
だが全員分の未練はカードでランダムに配布されてるじゃねえか。誰かが俺たちの未練のカードを持っているはずだぜ。
初期カードはランダムなんだから都合よく私らの情報を3枚揃えられるわけじゃない。1回目の選定で誰も私らを指名しなかったんだから運よく揃ったやつはいないってことが明らかになってる。あのインド人も私らのカードを入手したわけじゃなさそうだしな。もしそうならやれるやつからやってった方が得だ。
もし最初に配られた3枚で誰かの手元にあんたのカードが揃ってたらどうするつもりだったんだ？
運命を呪うだけだよ。賭けに負けたって死ぬだけだ。
Really can't stand this woman sometimes. She makes you think she's got it all planned out, but she leaves the most crucial bits up to luck. Her cautious and rational actions end up getting thrown out the window when she goes wild for no discernible reason. I honestly don't know what goes on in her head. This is the first time I've come across a woman who doesn't just do whatever a man tells them to do. The worst part of it all, though?
まあ最後の2人になるまでは協力関係だ。従わないってんならまた殴ってやるからかかってきな。
That's what she does to resolve everything. She resorts to violence. I can't call her a nasty name out loud, so I just keep the insults to myself.
でだ。選定の最後の日には日本にいなくちゃいけないんだろ。なのにどうして俺たちは中国にいるんだ？
決まってるだろ。私は北京ダックが好きだが本場では食ったことがなかったんだ。
おいおい、マジかよ。
ついでに宿題の答え合わせをしに来たんだ。
は？
私たちの船が襲われる直前中国食品企業の重役さんが会議中に倒れたってニュースが入ってたんだ。
As you might have guessed, Odette's the representative for a certain shipping company. Of course, we're talking about this woman, so ain't no way it's a plain old shipping company. Doesn't matter if it involves drugs or even dead bodies. They'll take any job they're paid to do. In that regard, you could call them smugglers. Their existence is kept in the dark, though, likely because certain governments aren't shy about making use of them. Well, it's not quite accurate to say they'll take up any job, considering Odette makes it a point to turn down anything she considers boring. Certain circumstances led to my hitching a ride on her boat, which is how we ended up cooperating in the first place.
選定で生還した後気になったんで詳細を調べたんだ。だが
そんな事件の情報はなかった。
おい、それって。
I can't even take a bite of food in front of my mouth when she says that. She, on the other hand, grabs the bottle of Shaoxingzhu and downs what's left in it.
仕事柄こういう世界の情勢ってのを気にしてないといけないから、私は一度聞いたら忘れねえ。ロー・チャンホ、そいつの名前だ。調べ直してみたらまあピンピンしてるみたいだぜ。ん？
The moment she mentions his name, the book beside her emits a strange light. It's a big, thick, auburn-colored book with some gold leaf decorations on it, but there ain't no pages in it, just a big hole in the middle where you can open it. I've got the exact same book, see? It's some kind of card-storing book used for divine selection.
こいつはいい。
The dull light focuses into a single point once she opens her book. It gradually fades, and in its place is a rectangular piece of paper. Odette catches it while it's hovering in midair.
ロー・チャンホのカード、つまり7番の使命のカードでビンゴだ。
マジかよ、こんな簡単に。
That girl who was going on about being a goddess mentioned that the cause of all of our deaths had been undone. The fact that Odette was able to notice such a paradox proves that the girl wasn't lying.
こうなりゃ当てずっぽうだ。ローは太っていたな。ってことは糖尿病を患ってたかもしれない。そうなると低血糖、いや企業の重役に上り詰めたやつが命に関わるミスを犯すとは思えない。会議中に突然死、脳梗塞か心筋梗塞だな。
カードは出ないな。
She calls it a guessing game, but she clearly isn't taking stabs in the dark. Does the fact that a card didn't appear mean she's not on the right track?
いや、カードが生成されるには条件があんのかもしれねえな。ローの名前に気づいていたのに、今までカードが出なかったのはなぜだ。
わかるかよ、そんなもん。他にいないか迷ってみたらどうだ。
お前も考えろってんだ。いや待てよ、迷う。さっきの私は迷っていた。私の確信がなかった。
でかい独り言だな。
My attempt to tease her falls on deaf ears. The grin that spreads across her face soon after bursts with confidence.
どちらかといえば確率が高いのは脳梗塞、糖尿病の合併症で会議中突発的に起きてもおかしくはない。これでどうだ。
She directs her question towards the book, as if it'd nod back. Amazingly enough, it does respond. It reacts the same way as when she obtained Rose's name card.
7番の死因、脳梗塞。今回はどうにかなったが、単純な当てずっぽうじゃダメみたいだ。一個分かったルールは、確信を持たないとカード化されないってとこだが、かなり曖昧だな。
確信ね。
I should mention that Odette went through that entire process while she continued to chow down on her food. I'd planned on going easy on the booze so I could stay rational, but I ended up downing my drink as well. I figure that being stuck with her is a bad thing, but on the other hand, it might be perfect for me. This woman is gonna be useful. Not often that you find someone who's got the brains to match the brawn, so I should be able to get rid of anyone in my way with her around. Why would she cooperate with me, though? Maybe she figures I have all the info I need on her, so she's doing this to make sure I don't hand anything off to the other participants. We were on the same boat when it sank, so naturally you'd think we both died the same way. And since I've got her name and cause of death, she wants to keep me in check. What she doesn't know is that I don't actually know her cause of death. She doesn't know mine either. We might have died on the ship when attacked, but the actual causes weren't by drowning or from fire. In reality, the only info we have on each other is our names. Well, that's just making it seem like she knows more than she can have leverage, so that she can have leverage over me. Basically, this whole cooperation thing is a front so that she can get her hands on my info for when we're the last two remaining.
いい食いっぷりになったじゃねえか。この店にある一番いいワインを持ってきてくれ。
いいぜ、付き合ってやる。
The most important challenge of my life is about to begin. I ain't about to fail, and I certainly ain't gonna let her drink me under the table. We end up drinking till all the wine in the restaurant is gone. Amazingly enough, she pops open another bottle back at the hotel as a substitute for water. I'm not about to join her, so I'll go back to my room and sleep. The next morning, I notice that I have Rose's card in my own book too. Later that day, Odette gets me to start tailing him. Needless to say, this is for the sake of getting information regarding his regret. Divine Selection takes place at 12 p.m. on Sunday JST, so we'll be in a good spot if we manage to get all 3 pieces of info on him before then. As for why I'm tailing him on my own, well, Odette's down with a hangover. Not in the way you'd imagine, though. She ain't suffering in bed. She's pissed off and screaming at everyone and everything. Can't believe she's making me second guess her usefulness just one day later.
やべえぞオデット。
Not long after I start tailing him, I have to rush back to the hotel to get Odette. Rose's company was located in one of those fancy high-class buildings in the middle of Beijing City. I lost sight of him thanks to it being so crowded, but I managed to learn his plans. A few minutes after entering the building, he made his way back out. Acting as someone there on official business, I asked the front desk about his schedule, to which they replied he was leaving on a business trip. They were hesitant about revealing the destination at first, but I managed to get them to reveal that he'd be staying in Taiwan for 3 days while visiting their local branch. Turns out we can hop on the same flight as him if we haul ass over the airport.
やつは今日から台湾へ出張だ。追うぞ。とっとと準備をしろ。
I knock on her door, fully expecting her to flip out at me. Imagine my surprise when she struts out of the room all ready to go, luggage and all. As an aside, our phones and credit cards were perfectly intact, despite our washing up ashore, so we didn't have any issue buying whatever gear we needed.
ちょうどチェックアウトの連絡をしたところだ。
は？
私がその情報を掴んでないと思ったか？昨日の時点ですでに分かってたんだよ。
じゃあどうして俺に尾行させたんだよ。
協力関係だ。頼られてばっかりじゃ私の損だろ。この程度の情報もつかめないんだったら協力関係を破棄してやろうと試してたのさ。
She drops that bombshell on me like it's a casual greeting. The fact that she doesn't mention what she'd do with me if I failed her little test proves how twisted she is. Why do I gotta be the test in the first place?
食えない女だ。
何か言ったか？
でもねえよ。
We leave the hotel after I rush to get my stuff together. Having made it on time to catch the same flight as Ro, we make our way back to our hotel in Taiwan after landing. It's the same hotel he's staying in, so we choose a room far enough away from his, and then discuss our next move over some wine and cheese.
しかしビビったぜ。あんた飛行機の中でローを探すんだから。
生意気にビジネスクラスに乗ってやがったからロビーで見つからなかったんだ。ま、エコノミーじゃ出っ張った腹が邪魔だろうがな。偶然座席が余っててアップグレードできたんで到着ロビーから尾行してホテルを突き止められた。結果オーライだな。
ビジネスクラスでいい思いをしたのはあんただけな。あんたは選定の場所で顔が割れてるんだぜ。ローが騒いだりしたらどうするつもりだったんだ。
そんなこと警戒すらしてなかったみたいだ。まさか私ら選定の参加者が中国まで追ってきてるとは思ってないみたいだ。いや、それ以前に平然と仕事をして暮らしているあたり、ありゃもしかしたら選定そのものを信じていない可能性もあるな。
まともな大人なら信じないだろ、あんなもん。俺もあんたと一緒に漂着したから信じたってもんだ。
She grins nihilistically before continuing.
自分の死を冷静に認識できてればどうして生きているって疑問が浮かぶんだけどな。そうなりゃ選定とやらの存在を信じざるを得ない。
そんな風にぶっ飛んでんのはあんただけだ。んなことより滞在期間気にならないか。
I grab some squares of cheese as I pose that question to her. Once I confirm that she's reacted to it, I continue.
会社で聞いた時のあいつの出張期間は2泊。 だがフロントで聞いたら、いや、問い詰めたらロはここに一泊しかしないらしい。
お前ローに報告がいかないようにうまくやったんだろうな。
鳥もよだ。クレーマーのふりをしてローの部屋がうるさい、部屋を変えてくれって言ってやった。そしたらフロントのやつは明日までだから我慢してくれって答えた。
まあ旧大点か。確かにそいつは妙だな。あいつは明日に台湾支社へ行って明後日には工場の視察に行く予定になっているはずだ。どちらもこのホテルからのアクセスは悪くないはずだが、まあいい。ならお前は明日も張り込みを頼む。私は別の視点から調べ物をしてみる。
はあ？なんだよそれ。
今日は飯だ。台湾料理はまだ食ってないからな。私は海の幸にはうるさいが、どれ地中海料理との違いを堪能してやろうぜ。
ま、いずれにせよ早まってロを問い詰めたりしたら逆効果だしな。
We split the rest of the wine between us and finish off the cheese.
地中海はフランスのもんじゃなくイタリアのもんだ。海の幸の比較なら俺の方が適任だわな。
The major thing I take away from yesterday's activities is that, surprisingly, Taiwanese food ain't half bad. Yeah, they could work on their presentation a bit, but those steamed shrimp buns were delicious. Could see myself getting hooked on those rice noodles too. Don't let me forget the spicy stuff either. Adding some dubanjian and tiamianjian really created a perfect and rich balance between sweet and sour. Whoops, that's enough Odette impressions for one day. Even though my stomach regrets eating so much last night, here I am in the hotel's parking lot early in the morning waiting for Ro. Once I see him leave in a taxi, I make sure to follow. And now I've been sitting around outside his company's building for a good part of the day. Boring as hell, but I'm used to waiting by this point. The streets of Taiwan really are an interesting sight, though. You can get a good hour's worth of entertainment from people watching. Too bad I still got another 7 hours left. After what feels like an eternity, I finally spot him leaving the building. I figured he'll make his way back to by taxi too, but it looks like he's hoofing it instead. It's entirely possible that the people at the front desk told me he'd only be staying one night, just to get rid of me. But the fact that he's not going straight back by taxi proves nothing. He'd be going out for a meal with someone first. That much is normal for a corporate bigwig like him. As it turns out, he ends up at an Italian restaurant in town. Ristorante, to be accurate. Italian restaurants are split into ristorantes, trattorias, and osterias. Ristorantes are the fanciest of the three. The glass paneling makes the restaurant easy to keep an eye on, so I waltz into a cafe directly across the street. It's got glass paneling as well, so there's no danger of losing track of him. I order an espresso and dump plenty of sugar into it. It's going to be a struggle to make this last as long as a ristorante meal, but I gotta deal with it. As far as I can tell, it seems like a real fancy joint. Looks like he's made a reservation, judging by how he gets taken to a seat by one of the staff right away. Soon after, someone takes a seat across from him. A young woman. She's wearing one of those glitzy red dresses that dirty old geezers drool over. I'm pretty sure he's got a family, but it doesn't take much for me to catch on to what this is all about. She ain't my type. There's no denying that she's a looker. Doesn't seem like a random hostess either. Having discovered their relationship, I spend the rest of my time watching them enjoy their meal. Guess he's picked out a wine beforehand. Gotta hand it to him. Red wine like that will send any woman over the moon, assuming they've got any good taste. It's just a shame that he's using his bread to wipe up the leftover pasta sauce. You're gonna make that woman feel ashamed to be with you, buddy. The restaurant seems like it's more on the expensive end compared to the others around here, too. Chances are he started going to these types of places more often once he hit a certain age. He has the appropriate manners, but sticking to them and also dropping old habits can prove to be tricky. Not like anyone's going to call him out to it for considering his age and position. 3 hours pass before they finish eating and enjoying their after-dinner espresso. I get myself ready to leave while Ro pays for the whole thing by card. Fortunately, I know exactly what their plan is after this, probably because I do the same thing. Once they leave and get in by taxi, I jump into another one and follow them. They end up making their way back to the woman's apartment, so I can confirm that they've gone inside. So after I confirm that they've gone inside, I return to the hotel. I don't know much about Taiwanese dogs, but some breeds I'd never seen before come out to greet them both when they arrive at her place.
遅かったじゃねえか。
Alright, why don't we stop it there? This is audapostrophe. You've been watching Fatal 12 on Nintendo Switch. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed watching. I will see you at the next stream.